How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the third installment in the Evil Dead franchise titled Army of Darkness. Now, I say this in pretty much the start of every video that I've done so far on this series. I have never watched these movies before. I am a horror fan. You're probably thinking, well, if you're a horror fan, you probably should have watched these movies already. I agree with you. But I've never seen these movies till just now. So in this series, this is my first time, my first impressions of the series as a whole, and I wanted to watch all the movies and talk about each one of them before I go see Evil Dead Rises. And as of the recording of this video, it's probably been around 2 weeks or so since it came out. So I wanted to talk about it with you guys now. So I'm fresh off of watching it. The movie ended probably around 10 minutes ago. By the way, not sporting a beanie today. I know my hair is a mess, but let's just roll with it. So, yeah, I got some thoughts on Army of Darkness. Again, just finished it, and I figured this would be a good time to talk about it. So with that being said, let's discuss Sam Raimi's The Army of Darkness. So, this movie, man, going into it, I've always heard like the third one is pretty great. To a lot of people, this is one of their favorite films in the entire franchise. And so going into it, I kind of knew that this movie was going to be very zany. I knew it was going to be way crazier than its predecessors. And I just knew it was going to have a whole different vibe. And needless to say, after finishing the movie and about 10 minutes out, yes, it is a clusterfuck of craziness. In the best possible way. That is not any kind of negative on this film. Matter of fact, I'm just going to go out and say it. I really like this movie. And I've been saying that with all three of the movies thus far in my Evil Dead reviews and discussions. I wouldn't even really call them reviews because I'm not really reviewing them. I'm more of just kind of discussing things that I've admired, some things I noticed, some things I really, really appreciate about this film franchise. And this one didn't disappoint me, man. It takes a big leap away from the horror elements from the original. But I think that while it doesn't have the horror, it has plenty of charisma. I mean, again, I talked about Bruce Campbell and definitely my first review. Bruce Campbell is very charismatic guy. He's someone that you want to root for, even when you know this dude is, wow, this guy is so stupid. You want to root for him because he just has that attitude about him that I think that it's easy to root for. And so, watching this movie and seeing how crazy it is and some of the things he's getting into, it's like, okay, I can still vibe with it. This one's got a whole different vibe for sure. It's set in like medieval times. Like I believe Ash is like narrating in the very first part of the movie. He talks about it's like back in the 1300s, if he could guess, which sounds about right during that time. And yeah, I mean, it just goes crazy. You got the Deadites, right? But it's a lot less demon oriented. I mean, yes, sort of. It's definitely demonic presence, but it's more of really like skeletons and like the dead coming back to life, sort of. It reminded me straight up of Pirates of the Caribbean by the end of it there, and you'll know what I'm talking about when this big like army of the dead, right? This big army of skeletons, and I was like, dude, that is straight up Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean ripped that shit off, and it's okay. It's a very, very cool thing, and it was funny because me and the wife were watching these movies together, and she said that for the times the visual effects look really, really good, and I said, yeah, they do look good because it's not visual effects. I mean, it is, but it's all practical. Most of it is. Now there is some stop motion stuff I talked about in my first review / discussion for the Evil Dead 1981, how they make the use of like stop motion. And I used to watch a lot of stop motion when I was a kid, like Wallace and Gromit. Do you guys remember that? Come on, some of the guys that are my age, right? I'm 26. Some of the people out there got to be around that age who are watching my videos. You remember Wallace and Gromit, the very stop motion kind of animation? That's what some of this movie reminds me of, and I love it. It's in the best way possible too. It's not used poorly. I like it. For the time, it was awesome. It's like when you look at Star Wars, right? You look at the making of the original Star Wars from 1978. Yes, has it aged? Definitely. But when you see what they put into to make these effects, right? Like especially when you get to the second movie, I'm drawing a blank right now. A New Hope. Uh, I'm losing it. I am so it's not Attack of the Clones because that's the second in the prequel. Oh Lord, this is killing me. The Empire Strikes Back. Jesus Christ. Wow. As much of a Star Wars fix I've been on, and I got stumped on that. But yes, Empire Strikes Back. When you see the ATSDs and stuff, you're like, oh shit. They're like, how do they make it where it's so huge like that? It's really not. It's stop motion animation. You got people up top moving action figures, and then they just put the effects in to make them look bigger than what they actually are. And I think that's so cool to see that in this movie. Has again, like I mentioned in my first review, I like the first person moments. I think they're so cool. I forgot to mention in my first review how that's something I really admire about the first Halloween movie, right? Like the use of first person, like when you see Michael when he's a kid and he's going to kill his older sister. I like the first person, even though it looked kind of wacky, and you see the scene where he's stabbing her, and you just see his hand right in front of his face doing the stabbing motions. It still was really really cool, and I think that it's really really immersive in a movie, movies like this. But Ash is still crazy as hell. Yeah, very corny, cheesy dialogue. He definitely says groovy like at least twice, I believe. But you know the story's pretty generic. You know, it's trying to find a book, right? Like this, yeah, all these movies surround the Book of the Dead, and he's looking for a book to come back to his world as he knows. I was gonna say present times, but this isn't exactly present times. And in doing so, he ends up unleashing the dead. They all wake up, and he has to fight back. And that's pretty much the movie. It's a really wild ride. Pretty good action sequences. I enjoyed that. And yeah, I think the use of the like music was good, but I think the fight scenes are very very well choreographed too for like its time. Like there's a part where there's like a staircase, and Ash is like fighting two guys at the same time. Like they're all sword fighting, you know. And it took me right back to like the movie Hook with Robin Williams. It reminded me of that, and I was like, this is pretty cool. I like that. I definitely think they let Ash do his most like physical acting here. The way he's moving around, how zany and crazy he is. I keep saying the word zany, but you know what I mean. Like acting real, like really wacky and nuts, you know. And I liked it. I liked that they were letting him loose a little bit in this film. Because it made it fun, and I was laughing. I was laughing a good majority of this movie. I really really enjoyed it, man. You know, give me some love, sugar, or give me some sugar. Yeah, I think that's what he said. To the I can't remember what her name is, but who he was kind of like screwing around with in that movie. But yeah, dude, I enjoyed it. You know, so far, is it my favorite out the three? No, I don't think so. However, I will say I had more fun with this movie than Evil Dead 2. But I wouldn't say I wouldn't say Army of Darkness is better than Evil Dead 2. I would just say I had more fun with Army of Darkness because it was just a cool movie. Just kick back, have a beer, and just chill with the wife and watch a very very just off the wall film. You know what I mean? Like the scene where there's like an exact replica of Ash, and he's like there's a bunch of miniature versions of him, and they're all hitting him with shit and like making him trip, and one has a nail for him to step on. That sequence made me laugh so hard. And then when he's like battling one on one with his exact, like, I guess you could say his clone, I guess. It was just really, really entertaining, man. It was just dumb fun. Like, yes, you probably watch this like, wow, this is so dumb. Honestly, just dumb fun. These are films that I probably will go back to. Definitely for like Halloween and things like that. Just really, really good. Horror centered, not really, but horror / comedy films. And I'm really glad that I've gotten into this series. And I can't wait for Evil Dead Remake 2013, which goes back to its horror roots. And I'm kind of, especially after seeing how nuts these past two have been, I'm eager to get back into the more serious tone that has some comical moments, but more of a serious tone for these next two films, Evil Dead 2013 and Evil Dead Rise. They came out this year, just a couple weeks ago. So anyway, with that being said, yeah, all in all, Army of Darkness, good film. I enjoyed it. again, very crazy, very cheesy, but you know what, man? It's a damn good time. I had a lot of fun. More fun than I had with Evil Dead 2. And Evil Dead 2 I found was a little bit more horror centered, even though it definitely had the comedic moments. And again, very cheesy, you know, larger than life scenes. But Army of Darkness has just that good bit of charm. Even where it lacks in real horror and terror, it's like plentiful and just crazy good times. And honestly, that's the kind of film I want to watch after a long day at work and really a long week rather. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section about Army of Darkness. And if you wouldn't mind leaving a like on this video, subbing to the channel for more Evil Dead content. I'm sorry I can't talk today. If you wouldn't mind liking this video and subbing to the channel for more Evil Dead content, we would really appreciate it. And with that being said, we'll see you in our next Evil Dead video when we talk about Evil Dead 2013. Stay dead, my friends.